to using an image as a texture. In this video we're going to show you how to add a texture to your material. We're going to reinforce the diffuse and specular settings. We're going to model the board surround and then finally apply a texture to that board surround, making it look much better. So let's hop straight on over into Blender. So here we are in Blender and with our default cube. So let's zoom into our cube a little, hide the timeline. I'm getting a feeling I should just set this as my standard layout by now. And let's apply a material. Of course there's going to be one already applied. I'm going to call it brickwork. And the next section along on the properties pane, this little checkered square here, that's the texture properties. So you can click on that there and we've got a list down here. Now I'm going to name this bricks, and then further down let's just have a look here. Type, well it needs to be an image in this case. There's loads of other options which are procedurally generated textures, but we're going to use in this case an image or movie. So if we select that and go into your assets pack, and you will find a texture. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called bricks. Yes, it's called bricks.jpg. So open that up and it will give us an example of the texture itself. Now, is it applied to here? Well, we don't know at the moment while the viewport shading is set to solid. So change it now to rendered and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it has applied it, but it does look a bit odd there, as you can see. It looks a bit funny down the sides there. So first of all, so we can see our entire object, I'm going to change our lamp to a hemi just so the whole thing's highlighted. And then I'm just going to go round our cube. Okay, so this is a good example here. There's not a chance in the world that a wall is going to look that shiny, that glossy, unless someone's going around varnishing walls. So in our materials properties for the cube, if we go down and turn the specular either all the way down or off, yep, I'm happy with that now. And I'm just going to turn the diffuse up in this case. Okay, so let's hop back over into the texture. Scroll down a little. So what we're looking for here is the mapping. So at the moment the coordinates for this texture are being generated by Blender for us, which is great, and their projection is flat, which is why we've got these lovely stripes down the side of our blockwork. We may want that, but in this case I certainly do not. So if we change the projection of that from flat to cube, you will see that, there we go, we've now got our texture applied to all of the sides. Now, as your model gets more and more complicated, and we will get to UV mapping and unwrapping later on, but you will need to do that. But since our models are quite simple at the moment with basic textures, this brickwork here, for instance, is working really well. The other one you can choose here is object, so we're mapping it to the object itself, and that does look a bit bizarre at the moment. And why is that? Well, that looks very bizarre. It's kind of tracking our view at the moment because we've not selected an object for it to be mapped to. And if we select the cube as the mapping, there we go, it's mapped in a very similar manner as it was before. There are quite a few other options in the coordinates. We won't be using any of these at the moment. Okay, so finally the size and offset. Well, offset, as you can probably guess, shifts the texture from left to right, up and down, etc. And the size, well, this acts in the reverse manner as I was expecting it to. So if I halve the values of X and Y, the texture actually gets larger, as we can see there. And if I double the value of X and Y, the texture gets half the size. So it's very easy to get confused which way around those things are. I certainly did. I'm going to set that to 1 for the moment. And you may need to alter this depending on the scale of the model that you're working on. In this case, that looks absolutely fine. and I'm happy with that. So I've just saved that brick cube for the moment, just in case I need it again in future, and I'm going to go and open up my chest scene. So let's go and model the surround to the board itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a plane object. Okay, that's added it in a funny location. I've got a couple of options here. I can go to the transform up here and relocate it at 0, 0, 0. I could go over here to the add plane in the operator panel and change that to 0, 0, 0. In this case, I'm going to choose to just undo the creation of that and use Shift and C to both center the view and put the 3D cursor bang in the middle of our scene. Then I can create our mesh plane. I think this is 24 radius, I'm not sure, let's just give it a quick go. 24, excellent. Right, we're going to use a little bit of a hack here to get this done. We're going to extrude. We're going to go into edit mode first before we extrude, and we're going to grab the edge loop running around the outside of this plane, and we're going to extrude by absolutely nothing. Odd, I may say, but this basically has duplicated that edge, so now we can scale it outwards. I must say at this point, if you do have the automatically merged vertices turned on the 3D editor header, that will not work the process we've just done, because it will just merge the 4 vertices at the corners back into 4 rather than having 8. So if that is on, you'll turn it off, and then we can scale that outwards. And I'm going to do this by eye. One of those two is absolutely fine, 1.2, 1.3. Brilliant. So I'm going to go into face select and remove this center face completely. And remember, when you're deleting, in this case we are deleting faces. And this middle one now I can extrude in the Z axis by -1. Doesn't appear to have behaved itself. That's okay, because the operator panel still has our transform in it that we've just done. And apparently I moved it in the x-axis, so I'm going to set that to 0, that to -1, and that should be excellent. We don't have the hashing on the top of the board, and we should find some depth now. Brilliant. Okay, so finally here I'm going to grab the edge loop running around our board. I'm going to extrude in the Z-axis, yep, by -2. Excellent, so it's got some thickness. Probably going to undo that and extrude in the Z-axis by -3 to give it a bit more depth. Then finally fill in that face. Excellent. So because we've been going in the negative direction quite a bit, I can see straight away that a lot of the faces we've generated have got the normals around the wrong way. So whilst we're still in edit mode, let's select our entire model and just flip the normals around the right way with Control and N. And whilst we're here, let's just make sure we've not got any duplicate vertices by removing doubles. We haven't in this case, it's removed 0. Excellent work. So we've got our board ready to do there, and what we can do finally, I'm just going to bevel this edge. So I'm going to select the edge loop going round, hold down Control and B, and add in a bevel with 3 or so edges, and let's just have a look at the operator panel and see what the other options we have. I'm going to set that to a whole number. Segments, yep, that's fine. Vertex only, oh that's interesting, but not what I want. Let's just work our way around here, have a look at the profile. Yes, that's a nice profile. Bear in mind you can go a bit wacky on yours, pop feet on it or whatever you want in that way. Clamp overlap, okay. That's a bit better there, that centralises it a little. Ah, I see, so that prevents it coming too close to the edge. Brilliant, that's exactly what I want in this case. Oh, that's an interesting, going like that rather than the other way. I think I'm going to keep that. Excellent. Right, so let's just apply that. Sorted. And now I think it's time for a challenge. Okay guys, it's challenge time. I'd like you to add a wooden texture. So using the Brazilian rosewood texture in your asset pack, apply that to the board surround. Pause the video now and give that a go. Okay guys, welcome back. Let's go and apply the Brazilian rosewood texture to our board surround. Okay, so we're back in Blender now. Let's go ahead and add a texture to our board surround. So first of all, I'm going to go to where it says plane and change the name of this to board surround. In fact, I'm going to put the word chess in front of it, and that's purely so it lines up with the one that's just chessboard. So the chessboard surround, I'm going to add a material to it, and I'm going to call it chessboard surround. That'd be a good name for it, so I'm just going to copy and paste in that name. And then I'm going to go straight over to the textures, create a new texture, scroll down a little more. I'm going to make this window bigger now, open up section assets, Brazilian rosewood. That looks good. I'm going to turn on rendered straight away and see what it looks like. Why aren't we see anything? We've got the lighting hidden. So I'm going to hold down control and turn both the lights on at once. Excellent. So we've got a couple of options here. That looks like a proper machine bit because you would probably, I think the term's metered, to get that 45-degree angle in there with the wood. Let's see if there's any other options that would suit. A bit of experimentation as always, never goes amiss. So the mapping at the moment, it's mapped to UV coordinates, and we can see there it's following the face that has been generated from there. So if we go to generated itself, I'm not too sure on that. The texture, it looks very big. Looks like or the board is, it makes the board look very small to the textures there. So we went in here and did X, Y, and I will do Z as well. Yeah, that looks okay as well. That's got grain in it. It does look a bit odd though. It does look uniform, but I do prefer the UV option that was coming out before. Let's just try an object and set it to the chessboard surround. Wow, that's certainly too small there. So let's change that to 0.5, I think. No, it's going to have to be more than that. So I'm going to leave that at its previous selection at UV because that looks really nice. Now, the specularity of this, is that about right? Well, we've got to make a decision here. I don't think wood would be that polished. So I do want some specularity, but I don't want that much. So I'm just going to turn that down until I'm happy with it. I'm going to halve it first of all, and probably a little lower than that. Yes, I'm happy with it having some glare on it, some reflection of lights in the environment, but not so much that it's too glaring. Right, brilliant. How did you guys get on? Please share your results in the discussions, and I will see you in the next lecture.